Hey gang, how are you today? The Success Coach here with MaximumChange.com. Jumping on here to talk to you about self-confidence as a business owner. Now, I've been in the business world for 25 years. And to be honest with you, when I was in college, so this would have put me in the late 80s, early 90s when I was an undergrad, I decided to join a network marketing or multi-level marketing organization. Now, I was really keen on being a business owner, on being an entrepreneur, but looking back over 25 years ago, here's what I discovered. I lacked the self-confidence to be successful as a network marketer or a multi-level marketer. Now, since then, I've gone on to do other things and I've been fairly successful, but I wanted to talk to you today about being self-confident. Because if you're wanting to own a business or you own a business and you're just not quite making it or the business isn't taking off, I want you to look at your self-confidence and figure out maybe if that's part of it. Because here's what I know about self-confidence. Self-confidence is definitely a skill. It's something that you can learn over time. It's something that you can build up over time. And so self-confidence is something you can work on. Now, obviously, I'm almost 50 years old and I have been running businesses, but I'm going to tell you there are times even right now where I have to check my self-confidence because maybe I'm not doing something or I start having self-doubt or I start talking in a negative way to myself. And so I wanted to take the time today to jump in and talk to you about some of the things that I know that help. And I'm also going to frame this in the context of things that self-confident people don't do. And then I'm going to add maybe some things that they do is, in that context. So the first thing that a self-confident business owner doesn't do is make excuses. In fact, I have gotten to the place now over 25 years of business experience where the buck stops here. Now I got a buck back here. The buck stops here, stops at my desk. It is my responsibility how I run the business, how the business is run, the decisions that are made. Maybe someone else made a bad decision, but it's up to me. The buck stops here. So confident people, confident business owners specifically, don't make excuses. They look for ways to make it happen. You know what? Years ago when I was in the Boy Scouts and I was going up through the ranks to get Eagle Scout, one of my Scoutmasters used to say, there are no problems, there's just opportunities, and there's no excuses, just find a way to make it happen. And so we don't look for excuses, we own up things, and we look for answers. And so this is an internal focus thing where we're looking constantly and we're measuring through the things that we're saying, the things that we're thinking, and we have to stop ourselves from making excuses. And that includes the yeah, but. Because the yeah, but means that you're going to make an excuse or you're qualifying why something happened. You need to stop doing that. I work on that constantly because I come from a background where you defend yourself and it's a yeah, but. And so you need to stop blaming people, stop blaming the traffic because you were late, stop blaming your unfair boss because you got that failure to get the promotion. Confident people don't make excuses because they believe they are in control of their own lives, their own business, their own destiny. So if you are a confident person, you have to realize every day, positive self-talk, you are in control of your life. Only you can decide what happens to you. Now, obviously, things happen and people do things that impact you. You're driving down the road and someone T-bones you. That wasn't something that you did necessarily. It was someone else impacting you, caused harm to you. But it isn't like the universe is out to get you, so stop making excuses. The other thing that a self-confident person does or does not do is they don't quit. You don't quit. I remember as a kid, my mom had a pillowcase and it had little sayings on it. And the only saying that I remember to this day, it was on my bed. I slept on it every night, and it said, "Stubborn as a mule." And the truth is, I am stubborn. I am extremely stubborn. But the qualifier to that is that I'm not always stubborn in the negative places. I've been working on this for years. My wife has to point it out to me sometimes. Sometimes wives are mirrors, and they hold up and they say, "Hey, look what you're doing," and so they don't quit. And so I realized from an early age that I was as stubborn as a mule, and I would not quit. I relate to so many of the characters in the Bible that just would not give up. They would hold on and fight and press in and keep moving. And so don't quit. Confident people don't give up the first time that something goes wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, if you've not experienced failure, if you've not experienced difficult times and situations and decisions, get ready. Or as a former pastor of mine used to say, buckle up, buttercup, because it's about ready to unleash itself. And so when that happens, when you hit that wall, when the situation happens, you cannot give up. You have to keep going. A lot of times when I'm working with clients, I'm helping them reframe, rethink, and to stop positioning themselves in the way of wanting to give up. Now, this does not mean that you keep trying things over and over again. One part of a failure is that you learn from it and adjust accordingly so that you can keep going. Another thing that a self-confident person does or does not do is they don't wait for permission to act. I used to have this saying, and I probably still do, that I would rather beg for forgiveness than to have not done something that I should have done. And so I go sometimes until I hear a glass breaking, and then I keep going. Don't wait for permission to act. The question is, can I rather than should I? Can I move forward? Or why wouldn't I? And a lot of times when things happen, like I'm in the grocery store and I'm trying to decide, this from that, A to B on something, and I can't reach my wife on the phone, which is systemic with us. We try to reach each other and we can't, and then we're like picking on each other. You won't ever answer your phone. But if I'm in the store, I would rather act and make a decision. Sometimes my wife says, just make a decision. And so I do. Now, it doesn't always turn out as well as I'd like because maybe I didn't make the best decision. But the fact of the matter is, I would rather act than to come home empty-handed and say, well, why didn't you bring something at least? The other thing is a confident person doesn't seek attention. Now, this is a really difficult thing to think through because when you own a business, and especially like if you're in a business like I'm in, where you're in the media, it's a balancing act. I'm not looking for attention's sake. I'm looking for attention because I have this passion deep within me that says I want to help someone to grow their business, to be something more than they are, to find a pathway to success, to find their pathway to wealth and freedom. So my desire to seek attention is more of a byproduct of wanting to help people grow and be more than they are. So the next thing, though, is that confident people don't look for constant praise. Now, this one has been a really difficult one for me, and I'm just being transparent with you. It's something that I'm having to learn throughout my life, is that I don't need praise because there's something deep within inside of me that really likes the praise. And I'm just being honest with you. I like it when someone says you did a great job. But on the same front, I feel awkward about receiving that praise. It took me a long time to get to a place where when someone said, congratulations on getting your doctorate, that I'd say, thank you. The best thing to do if someone praises you is just say thank you and move on. Don't stay there. Another thing that confident people don't do is they don't put things off. That why do today what you can do tomorrow? No, do today what you can do today so that you have room and capacity to do something tomorrow. So don't put things off. Don't be lazy. Listen, I will tell you, I love taking naps. I could get an Olympic gold medal in nap taking. I'm telling you, I love it. There's something refreshing for me about taking a power nap. But that is resting to keep going. That's not resting for 5 hours and then get up and try to do something. No, what I'm talking about is being lazy. And I'm going to tell you just what I know about being lazy, or procrastination is another way to put this, is that it's a fear of what's going to happen. Maybe we're afraid of change. Maybe we're afraid of the challenge. Maybe we're afraid of failure. Maybe even we're afraid of the success. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when I'm successful? And I'm just going to tell you, that has crossed my mind before. It's like, what do I do when I have 1,000 customers? What do I do when I have $1 million in the bank? What do I do when I have, a client that's paying me $20,000 a month? Those are challenges that you want to have, but they're scary. And I'm going to tell you, healthy fear is good for your success, because healthy fear helps you think through, plan through, and then hopefully act accordingly. Now, the other thing that a confident person doesn't do is they don't pass judgment. And so a confident person does not pass judgment on other people, because they know that everything that they could judge could be judged on them. So everyone has something to offer. Everyone brings something to the table. And so don't pass judgment because someone's below you. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are successful, you don't have time to judge other people. It's the people that are judging you that have too much time on their hands. That's why they're jealous, because they aren't achieving the things you do. So if anything, you should feel sorry for the person who casts judgment on you. The other thing that a confident person does or tries to do is to avoid conflict. Now, I know that you can't always avoid conflict, but this is something I've had to learn. And again, I'm being totally transparent with you. I've had to learn a lot of these things to increase my confidence in what I do. But a confident person tries to avoid conflict. Now, again, you can't avoid conflict all the time. Conflict happens. People come at you. But what you can do is control how you respond to the person that's coming at you, how you respond to that conflict. You can certainly look at not just avoid it at all costs, but sometimes you have to manage conflict. So here's how I manage conflict. And I tell this to my kids all the time, and I actually have to practice it myself. The best way to end an argument is stop. It's like the best way to get out of a hole is stop digging. So the best way to get out of an argument is to stop arguing. Now, for me, in the early days, my mechanism for protecting myself was to flee the argument. But nowadays, I've had to work harder on just shutting my mouth, because as my dad would often say to me, and he still does, don't let your alligator mouth override your hummingbird behind. And so, in other words, your mouth is bigger than your backside. So be careful with that. So we have to manage this conflict, and sometimes it's just shut up, to stop the argument. Sometimes it's just saying, well, I'm going to just choose not to continue that discussion, or I'm going to agree to disagree with you, or whatever. Sometimes you just have to be uncomfortable in the situation and make unpleasant decisions, and that's you just know the conflict is going to be part of life and part of that situation, and so you can't do anything but that. Now, here is a really important thing that confident people don't do, and that is they don't let the lack of resources get in their way of success. Now, what I mean is, if you don't have money, if you don't have resources, whatever it is, you will not allow that to be the reason why you don't succeed. Confident people don't get thrown off course just because they don't have the right title, the right staff, the right equipment, the right money to make things happen. Either they find a way to make it happen, or they figure out how to get by without it. Now, I bootstrapped businesses for years, and I tell my story all the time about back in 2000 when I started a business that ended up being global. We started with $100, no customers, and we were in a 900 square foot apartment, and I just bought a brand new computer, and I didn't know how to build a website, but I figured it out real fast, and that ended up leading to me building other websites for other people at one point. And so I didn't allow not having any customers. I did not allow not having a website. I did not allow not having a lot of money. I did not allow not having a big manufacturing facility to get in my way of growing a business from nothing to a global business in 3 years. And we were featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, Vegan Times, Redbook Magazine. We were on QVC and a whole host of newspapers and magazines all around the world. I was even interviewed for a full-page spread in the Tennessean newspaper back in, it was around 1993, 92, 93, before we sold the business. So don't allow resources or the lack of resources to get in the way of you succeeding. It is foolish to think that you're going to have everything perfect before you get started. Listen, there are things that I'm still trying to learn as I grow my business. And I am constantly learning. That's why I have books. That's why I'm constantly listening to videos and podcasts. I was at the gym this morning working out on the elliptical, and I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, podcast, and he was it's one of the more recent ones, and he was in London talking to Facebook, and it was fascinating. Now, I don't always agree with Gary Vee. I don't have to, but I would be stupid not to be aware of what some of the influencers are saying and doing in this day and age. And finally, a confident business owner doesn't get too comfortable. Now, this goes on with what I just said, and that is that I'm constantly learning and growing and stretching and trying and working through. And I love this statement, and I believe it's so true. If it scares you, do it. If it scares you even just a little bit, do it. Find a way to make it happen. Because if you're just cruising through life, getting comfortable, here's what's going to happen. Your competition is going to take you over and eat your lunch and put you out of business. I was a few years ago, I was speaking to a group of very respected, high-end CEO, C-suite executives in Nashville, Tennessee. I used to live in Nashville, or outside of Nashville. And I was speaking at a very prestigious place on Belmont campus, Belmont University, and the conference room, the windows where I was standing, I could look out and I could see the skyline of Nashville. Nashville's not a huge skyline, but it's pretty. And I'm standing there and I'm talking to these executives, and I was talking to them about the future of business and the things that we need to be concerned about and the things that we need to be changing. And one of the things I was talking to them about was the fact that we're moving toward a gig economy and that they need to figure out how to better engage gig workers, contractors, freelancers. They needed to figure out a better way because that made them more agile and more competitive. And I'll never forget it. A very respected CEO, probably in his late 60s, early 70s. He sits on several boards in the Nashville area. I will not name his name. He stood up and he basically told me I was full of it and that I didn't know what I was talking about. And he proceeded to judge me and take me to task on how stupid I was to have even said what I did. Now I'm being melodramatic, I'm sure. But the point is, I stood there and I said, I'm not going to take this personal because he doesn't understand. And luckily, someone else in the room stood up and said the person's name and said, we know each other very well. We play golf. We're best friends, but you're wrong. And he proceeded to explain why he was wrong and why I was right. So don't get comfortable, even in situations where you go in and you're speaking to the best of the best, the greatest. The power in that room in the Nashville market was so incredible, and I had the privilege to speak to them, and it was scary as all get out. Scared the crap out of me. But I chose to do it. I didn't choose to be comfortable. I could have gone and talked to high school students. which quite honestly is probably a lot more scary to me than going to talk to executives. But one other point. A few years ago, it was 2014, 15, thereabouts. I was sent to do some consulting work by a dear friend of mine who is out of Boston in the 747 Consulting Group. And he sent me over, Amr, if you're watching, a shout out to my friend Amr. He sent me to Saudi Arabia. And you want to talk about getting out of your comfort zone? Go to another country where you don't speak the language, you don't even resonate 1,000%, much less 10% with the culture, and you've never been there before, you don't know anyone there, and you're going into a culture. Talk about being uncomfortable. And then they send you into a company you had absolutely no contact with, no relationship with, no pre-discussion with, and you have to go and you have to perform at your very best. That's getting out of your comfort zone. You should be a little afraid if you want to grow and become better. Now, what does that mean? It means the next time I'm sent to another country to speak to a group of powerful people, even government agencies, I'm ready. Doesn't mean I won't be scared, but I'll be ready. So if you want to be self-confident, you've got to realize that this is a skill set that you grow, and you need to work on it. You need to embrace who you are. You need to embrace the fact that you still have a lot to do, and you need to grow. You need to stand up with confidence. You need to learn how to speak up. If you're afraid of speaking, even to a camera, there's no one in this room but me and a camera and my microphone. If you're even afraid of doing that, practice it. Just video yourself for no one's consumption but your own, and then look at it. I went and worked with a speech coach so that I could do better, because otherwise I'd be coughing and clearing my throat and carrying on, and I still do some of those things, but I'm human. So here's the other thing. If you're going to be confident, you stand up, you speak up, you show up. You've got to be present. You've got to show up. You've got to have the courage to work through whatever challenge it is. And then also you need to smarten up. Now, I mentioned earlier, you should be a lifelong learner. You should have books. You should be listening to podcasts. You should be listening to videos like this. YouTube is full of incredible learning materials. Smarten up not day, every moment of the day. You should be learning and growing every chance you get, because lack of self-confidence should not be your excuse for not being successful, because self-confidence is a skill, and you can grow that skill in an amazing way. And the other thing that's helpful to me, I work with a coach and mentor. The Success Coach has a coach and mentor, and so I encourage you to get a coach and mentor, whether it's myself or maybe you need a referral. I'd be glad to put you in touch with one of my colleagues. If you'd rather work with a woman, I have 2 colleagues that I highly recommend. Do not go through your business life with lack of self-confidence when a coach might be able to help you. A coach is going to speak into you, pour into you, and peel back the layers of crap and help you get to the core issues. And it's not therapy. If you need a therapist, you can go find a therapist. But what it is a process that helps you build confidence, find tools and pathways to do things that you've never thought possible before. So if you need to build your self-confidence, get yourself a coach, get yourself a mentor, get yourself a coach mentor if you want. If you can't afford a coach or mentor, go find someone at your church, synagogue, or whatever community center or something. They're all around the place. And if you're a young person, if you're in your 20s or younger, there are a ton of resources out there for mentors just in your age group. So I want to encourage you, build your self-confidence. Even if you think you're self-confident enough, I want you to realize that you can never stop learning, you can never stop growing, you can never stop building that confidence, because it's a process. Now, I have spoken on a stage in front of thousands of people, but have I ever spoken in a stadium in front of tens of thousands of people? Now that would be a little scary, but I would love to do it, because it would be just that next layer of building my skill set of confidence. I've been on television, I've been interviewed on television. I've spoken on television. I do these videos all the time. I'm very comfortable in front of a camera with technology on me. That isn't the issue. The issue is not getting up in front of 10,000, 100,000 people and speaking. The issue is, have you ever done it before? It's a skill you have to build into. So wherever you begin, whether you don't have a single person to listen to a podcast or videocast that you do, record yourself. Get out your smartphone and just hold it down in front of you and video yourself. And go back and watch it, analyze it, look how you did something. You know, do you like look up? Do you pick your nose? Do you wipe your face a lot? Do you touch your face? Do you walk out of lens shot? What do you do? Analyze all those things. Get used to communicating in an effective way. I have confidence in you, but only you can have confidence in you that matters. Because my confidence in you is an opinion. Truthfully, your confidence in you is an opinion, but your opinion is probably flawed because you have to look through the lens of all the crap that's going on in your life before you can see your potential. And I'm going to tell you right now, wipe that away. You can do this. You have everything you need. You just need to make a decision. I love Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich because the whole premise of that book is in two ideas. You have to make a decision, and you have to think or know that you can do it. So I want you to make a decision today that you're going to work on your self-confidence. And I want you to think and know that you can do it. I'm Dr. Foster. I am the success coach with MaximumChange.com. I'd love to help you. I'd love to hear from you. Just comment on this video. Share the video if you want. But I would love to hear from you. Go to our website at MaximumChange.com. You can follow us on all of our social media there. Join our free website. You can get access to our free resources. I've been posting some things on there lately that might be of interest to you. So good luck. Have confidence today and every day that you can do it and you're more than capable. See you soon.